the way my lifestyle is right now, if you didn't know any better, you would think I have a #1 album and record on the Billboard magazine right now. Real talk.
The current state of hip-hop right now is chaos. We have rappers like Young Thug being treated like drug kingpins down in Atlanta. We have AI music potentially replacing rappers, like we saw with that Drake and The Weeknd song, Heart on My Sleeve, which was fire by the way. And then we have rappers being exposed as FBI informants that money laundered millions of dollars in an attempt to influence peddle US politics. Now, Praz, one-third of the hip-hop group the Fugees from the 90s, has found himself in some serious shit. I'm gonna keep it real. Praz was found guilty of all 10 charges for involvement in some international money laundering and conspiracy scheme, but first, we have to take it back. Now, who was Praz? Praz was part of the 90s group The Fugees that was led by Lauryn Hill, including him and Wyclef Jean. Now, the group is known for their unique blend of, I would say, reggae, hip-hop, as well as rap and R&B. Relatively speaking, the career of the group was very short-lived, as they only released 2 albums, Blunt on Reality, which came out in 1994, their debut album of course, as well as The Score in 1996, which propelled them to stardom. The Score had hit singles like Killing Me Softly with his song, as well as Ready or Not. Now, y'all know the song Ready or Not. Ready or Not, Here I Come. Now we all know that banger, man. Was actually won a Grammy for the best R&B performance by a group in 1997. However, shortly after the group disbanded and Lauryn Hill released her own solo studio album, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, and suddenly she just disappeared, which is a topic I consider covering widely on the channel, however I haven't yet, and let me know if I should. Let's get to Praz. The Fugees haven't released a hit song in over 20 years. However, Praz up until 2023 has moving like a baller. Rolls Royce Cullinan, the Lambo, the Insane Watch Collection, the Rollie, the Patek, the AP, the Patek Philippe, every single watch, which made many people ask the question, where's he getting this money from? Because it's definitely not rap money, and what else are you known for? So I'm gonna give y'all the tea, right? Praz was involved in this major international political conspiracy scheme. Now, the prosecutors alleged that Praz immersed himself in American politics at the behest of Jho Low. Now, Jho Low was this very big Malaysian financial expert that paid Praz $20 million to money launder money that Low embezzled from the Malaysian government into the US politics. The $20 million was his down payment that allowed Praz to develop a scheme to legally funnel money into the 2012 Obama campaign. Yes, Obama. Jho Low wanted Praz to take a picture with the Obamas, and Praz funneled over $800,000 using straw donors into the Obama campaign in an attempt to influence the extradite of an imprisoned Chinese national, Gui Wengui. Now, we'll get into later who Gui Wengui is, because Gui Wengui is the head honcho of scamming and scheming. I'm gonna keep it real. He's the point guard of the finesse team. Then we got Praz as the shooting guard, and then we got Jho Low as a small forward, and I'm keeping it real. Now, Jho Low, the main mastermind behind this conspiracy scheme, is nowhere to be found. Now, Low originally became acquainted with Praz in 2006 at a Manhattan nightclub. Now, Joe actually became very close with actor Leonardo DiCaprio, the protagonist in the Wolf of Wall Street movie, because Low invested over $100 million into the production of the movie. So how did Praz get involved in this $4.5 billion scheme? And how many things did he even do wrong to get this far down the rabbit hole? Now, in 2019, Praz was actually approached by the feds on federal charges and actually offered a plea deal for his involvement in being a middleman in this international conspiracy, as he was known to obviously have straw donors who were basically people donating to the Obama campaign in a way to get him close and Jho Low close to the Obama administration. The US believed that Praz was an agent of China spying on the American government, so when they offered him a plea deal, which he actually rejected, they had offered him a deal saying that he had to admit that he was acting for China and he willfully and knowingly became a secret agent under the control of the Chinese government to infiltrate America, particularly American politics. Now, like I said, this is something that he did reject, and the deal included him giving back $74 million. So he actually would have ended up keeping $25 million because Jho Low gave him $100 million in total when he was doing this whole money laundering and getting money in different areas, using all straw donors to basically build up this campaign, build this image next to Obama. Like anyone who gets arrested or indicted, the first thought is, how much information do they have on me? And can I beat this case? I think I can beat this case, which is how everybody thinks in a situation when it's fresh. Mine just is back in 2019, 3 years ago. However, he was the only person to not take a plea deal, and everyone else went on the run or got caught up. And basically, Praz got caught with his hand in the cookie jar. Jho Low is on the run. Gui Wengui is actually in jail right now for stuff they did in 2014, which we'll get to later. And Praz basically left with his hand in the cookie jar, and he's taking the fall. He became the political scapegoat in this whole situation. And like I said, even though these guys are respectively known in Malaysia and China as basically rich, wealthier finance experts, Praz was basically the low-hanging fruit that basically had to hug everything. And it's just tough. Praz got in so deep that he actually testified on his own behalf. Now, I'm not no lawyer, I'm going to be very clear, but from what I've seen before with the Young Thug case, the Tory Lanez cases, major cases where artists are in hot water and got to basically fend for themselves, it's probably the worst thing you could ever do to take a stand and defend yourself, because to me, it just emits a sense of guilt, because if you didn't do anything, why do you have to defend yourself? And that's just maybe my mentality, maybe it's a flawed mentality, but that's just how I view the situation. And Praz actually came together and worked with the feds saying, here's what I know, you guys already have a lot of information on me. Yes, I know I didn't want to come before in 2019, but everyone is basically running, and I'm left with my hand in the cookie jar, and that's what I'm doing. And basically Praz is out here trying to like reverse the narrative and say that, you know, he was an FBI agent, or an FBI informant, I should say. But it's very low criteria to be an FBI informant. If you give some information about they have a trap house on this street, or basically this Republican group lives here and they're basically money laundering XYZ, like that little information that you gave is enough for you to be an FBI informant. You're not a confidential informant CI on paper, but the fact that you gave the information that they were unaware of or that you personally knew to your best of your knowledge, that basically classifies you as a whole informant. And the basic criteria, like I said, is very simple. During Praz's testimony, he was asked why, despite his involvement as a middleman with the Jho Low lobbying campaign, why did he come forward? And he said, I took it upon myself to report because I thought the FBI should know. Now, we all know in life, not in rap, not in business, not in politics, in life, people do what's best for them. We saw this Kashi 9 situation where he was been out for 47 years. He said, what? These guys stole from me, kidnapped my girl, almost hurt my mother, took money from me. Yeah, you guys going to jail. I'm telling. I don't care. Who's going to be mad? I'm telling. And what? And we saw how basically Jho Low and, well, Goy, when Goy is in prison, of course, but Jho Low went on the run. And it's like, Praz is only doing this to reduce his time. He knows he's been caught. He knows his hands are caught in the cookie jar. He knows that his future, he has no control over. So he's trying to do what he can do now to smooth it over. And we all know cooperating or basically snitching in hip-hop is probably career suicide. But let's be real here. Praz's career was over 20 years ago, so it's not making any difference. Respectfully, you know, I know Lauryn Hill has bangers on, you know, Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, as well as the Score album, but I couldn't name you any Praz songs at the top of my head. And that's just me keeping it real. Like, nothing is basically recycling in rotation. But Praz, it's funny, with Praz being the middleman, he reminds you of the college admission scandal thing I watched on Netflix, this whole documentary. Basically what kids did was, parents of the kids who want to go to USC or UCLA and all these nice schools in America, they basically donated to school campaigns to get their kids in the back end. So basically, if the kid's grade wasn't good enough from the front end, or at GPA of course, they basically donated to campaigns of people who are affiliated with the school, and they got them in. Let's say the kids would be a part of like the polo team and the Marco Polo team, and they would go to USC on a Marco Polo scholarship. So that's how they get into the school. So they would be there on a Marco Polo scholarship. They would Photoshop pictures of the kids with the swim team, and kids on the actual swim team looking like, we don't even know who this guy is. Like, this guy never even played on the high school team. And like, you'll hear students obviously announcing that, I'm excited to announce my commitment to XYZ, thanks to all my coaches. You know how people do when they get drafted and stuff like that, right? And people are looking at them like, you never even played in high school. How you going to play professionally in college when you never played in high school? And that's basically kind of similar to what's happening here, because Praz was like the person who was basically dirty in cahoots in the middle, helping clean out the information. It's like, if the parents were to come forward and basically try and pay the school, that wouldn't work, because, you know, it's like, bro, we're not letting your kid in. Your kid's not smart enough not getting to school. But if the middleman, aka the people who had the campaigns that the parents were paying to, and the campaigns that got the kids in the school, like how Praz was basically the middleman that Jho Low paid so he can get close to Obama and stuff like that, that's kind of just how it worked. And if you guys haven't watched, you guys should watch the documentary. I think it's a very, very good interpretation and, how do I say this? Comparison of what is going on. Comparison, I should say. The strange finding of Praz working with the FBI caused a lot of people to raise their eyebrows and turn their heads. Now, 50 Cent was not having it and said, I knew that fool was a rat and never wanted to work with them, and he's glad that he never did. Now, Kyrie Irving, someone I view as the Lauryn Hill of actually basketball, someone who's very good at their craft, very misunderstood, and choose to live in his own way and live peacefully. He spoke on this and had a very interesting take, saying, now I see why Miss Lauryn Hill and countless others had to retire or disappear from the craft without anyone understanding why. So all the revolutionary elders and ancestors who saw the writing on the wall and got free. We need you more than ever now. Hella. Goy The famous Chinese imprisoned businessman had been on the run since 2014 when he fled China after Interpol issued a red notice after he was involved in a massive financial political corruption after he posed as an online crypto influencer with ties to the Trump Republicans. Guo and his financial expert Kim Meng-ye were accused of wire and security fraud as well as money laundering. The two conspired to cheat thousands of people out of more than $1 billion using fraudulent businesses and fake investment bank opportunities. It truly was a typical way every white-collar criminal gets rich, stealing money from investors, lying about their returns, and buying properties with that money in other places, as well as moving money offshore with shell companies that are in different countries such as Canada, the USA, as well as the British Virgin Islands. Now, China is a communist country, a country that has very different views from America, as they value the betterment of their people, as they allegedly say. Now, with that being a communist country, they are very strict when it comes to their crimes. You steal from the country, you rebel, you commit treason, you harm people. Things that in America I feel like that we would deem that are like, okay, you may get 15 to 20 years, such as bribing someone or embezzlement, maybe 15 to 20 years. They will give you life. Like, they do not play about stealing money. Like, they're the type of government that will make an example out of their citizens and feel absolutely no ways. Which is what they did with Wengui, and that's how to go on the run. Jho Low was the mastermind behind this entire US conspiracy. He put the pieces together and called the shots, as he stole billions of dollars from one country, Malaysia, to extradite $1 billion in America from a different country, China. Now, this isn't the first influence peddling scandal we have seen, but the fact that a rapper involved himself in politics, knowing the game was dirty, makes it very hard to feel bad for him. I know in Praz he's thinking, wow, Obama got elected 2012, this happened over 10 years ago. What are the odds this will blow back on me, considering that we've had 2 new presidents since then, Donald Trump and Joe Biden. However, that wasn't so. It's funny too, because I remember watching a DJ Vlad interview where Vlad talked about how Pras hit him up, saying he needed money for lawyers, but like, you know, the way he was flaunting all his money and cars, you would think that he had it good. And you know, note to self, I ain't gonna hate on DJ Vlad because the man does have some of the most legendary interviews from the Soldier Boys, from the Mafia guys. But hey man, if you ever need money and you're in a tight spot, do not ask Vlad, man. That man will air your business as soon as you go to the feds. Shit is crazy. With Praz being found guilty of all 10 charges, facing 22 years in prison, how do you guys feel about this? Do you feel bad for Praz, or do you feel that Praz is a grown man who made his own choices and is forced to lay in the bed that he made? Thank you guys for your time. I recommend you watching The Downfall of New York Drill, a video that had a very different spin to my usual videos. And like I said before, if you want me to cover the disappearance of Lauryn Hill all of a sudden, of course, in 1998, after she released that album, let me know down below. I'll cover it, man. Something I've been contemplating. And thank you guys for your support. And we're going up. Jetta Star, gone.